It is the eve of Yom Kippur today. Yom Kippur just simply means the Day of Atonement, and this is the way most of us know it. It is a high holy day. It is a day of national confession. It is a day of personal confession, because we find out that a nation is made up of individuals, and the Bible tells us that during the time of Yom Kippur that each individual is supposed to afflict their soul. That is very interesting. What does it mean to afflict your soul? I mean, that's a very unusual phrase, to say the least. Afflict your soul. What do? Cut yourself with knives and things of that nature? Beat yourself over the back with a whip? What does it mean to afflict your soul? Well, what it simply means is to deprive yourself of the creature comforts that are associated with our day-to-day living, to include food, which would be why it's known as a fast day and not a feast day. Why do we do this? We do this so that we can turn our attention to things that are more important, that are eternal, and that is the way we have lived our life for the past year. And incidentally, even more than just the past year, but our life leading up to this point as it stands right now. Yom Kippur is known as a day of confession. But there's so much to focus on in Yom Kippur. A lot of people like to wonder, why is it so important for me anyhow? I am a Western church-going individual, and our church has never practiced Yom Kippur, and that's fine. But I want to show you something that is in regard to us Western Christians, because without Yom Kippur in the model that's laid out, we would not even be Western Christians, because Jesus Christ carried out what I'm about to read. There's too many things to focus on in a short video, but I want to read this. And it starts in Leviticus 16, verse 6. And look what it says. Aaron shall offer the bull as a sin offering for himself, and shall make atonement for himself and for his house. Then he shall take 2 goats and set them before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting. This is very important. And Aaron shall cast lots over the 2 goats, one lot for the Lord, and the other lot for the Azazel. Now, what's the Azazel? The Azazel is what we would know as the scapegoat. This is where we actually get the terminology acting as a scapegoat. But let's read the rest of this. And Aaron shall present the goat on which the lot fell for the Lord, and use it as a sin offering. Who was the sin offering for us? Who was that sin offering for us? But the goat on which the lot fell for the Azazel, or the scapegoat, shall be presented alive before the Lord to make atonement over it, that it may be sent away into the wilderness to Azazel. What's going on here? When Jesus was presented before the people, you had 2 that were presented, and that was Jesus Christ and Barabbas. Jesus Christ and Barabbas. And the crowd shouted, "Give us Barabbas." And this lot fell on Jesus Christ, and he became that sin offering for us. You see, without the Day of Atonement, Jesus Christ would not be able to model out the fact that he became the sin offering for us, taking our place. Only God can bear the sin and pay the price that we could never pay, so that our sin could be separated from us as far as the east is to the west, to not be held against us anymore. If you jump down to, I believe, verse 15, this is what it says. "And then he shall kill the goat of the sin offering that is for the people, and bring its blood inside the veil, and do with its blood as he did with the blood of the bull, sprinkling it over the mercy seat and in front of the mercy seat. Thus he shall make atonement for the holy place because of the uncleanness of the people of Israel, and because of their transgression and all their sins. And so he shall do for the tent of meeting, which dwells in with them in the midst of their uncleanness." Then this is what it says in verse 18. "Then he shall go out to the altar that is before the Lord and make atonement for it. He shall take some blood of the bull and some blood of the goat and put it on the horns of the altar all around. He shall sprinkle some of the blood on it with his fingers 7 times and cleanse it and consecrate it from the uncleanness of the people of Israel." Has to be made clean before the Lord. "And when he has made an end of atoning for the holy place and the tent of meeting and the altar, he shall present the live goat." Here we go. "And Aaron shall lay both his hands on the head of the live goat and confess over it all the iniquities of the people of Israel and all their transgressions, all their sins." Notice that, the categorization. You have the iniquities, you have the transgressions, and you have the sins. "And he shall put them on the head of the goat and send it away into the wilderness by the hand of the man who is in readiness," that is the escort. They would take the goat out approximately 10 miles or so and release the goat, removing the sin of the nation away, in essence, casting the sin away. This is the scapegoat. Jesus Christ became that scapegoat for us. He is the one that removed the sin from us so that we could stand not in our righteousness, but in his righteousness, that which he did on our behalf, and we could stand before the throne of God, clean and pure, and in white linen, because this is what the Lord requires, is the white linen. The Day of Atonement is extremely important to us. It is also the day of the closing of the book. You see, you've been given 40 days leading up to the Day of Atonement for repentance. And then after that, you have been given, well, it's the last 10 days of the 40 days is known as the 10 days of awe. At the time of trumpets, the books are open, and the books remain open. They remain open all the way up to the time of the Day of Atonement, when the books are then closed. You have been given a grace period to deal with those things that need to be dealt with. And then the books are closed. And then the Lord's going to deal with those things for you, because you did not confess your sin. You kept your sin. You held on to your sin. You did not acknowledge your sin. Therefore, you could not lay hold of that confession so you could do something about it. You see, if you don't own what you've done, if you don't take responsibility for your actions, you can't do anything to change those actions. You are basically disavowing those things that you've been participating in. And that is not what the Bible tells us to do. It says to confess your sin. Why? So that we are aware of those things that we've been doing. It's not so that God's aware of it. God already knows it. He wants to know if you're aware of it, so that something can be done about it and you can walk in holiness before the Lord in the white linens. Take this last opportunity and cry out to the Lord and say, "Search me, O Lord, and see if there be any wicked way in me," and confess your sin. And He will be faithful and just to forgive you of all unrighteousness. Day of Atonement is a very, very important day. And it's time for us to start taking the Bible seriously and start taking our own actions seriously before the Lord, because there is going to be a day that you are going to be judged out of those things which are written in the books. You will be tried by fire in 1 Corinthians chapter 3. And the fire is going to tell if you are wanting or not, whether it be of wood, hay, and stubble, and you have nothing to show for yourself, or whether it be of gold and silver and of precious stone. Now is the time, so that you can grow and so that you can flourish and prosper in the next year to come. Don't let it be too late for you. You see, without the Day of Atonement, here's the beauty of it. Without atonement, there is no tabernacling with God. No tabernacling with God without first making atonement. And all you have to do is lay it on the altar, lay it on Him. But it requires you to confess it, so that the Lord, see, we have Sukkot, or booths, coming up. That is only possible because of the Day of Atonement. And it's commanded in Leviticus that the Tabernacles, the Day of Tabernacles, it's a 7-day period plus one. The 8th day is a day of rejoicing and celebrating. It's actually commanded that you not be a sourpuss, but you have a great time and be joyous in heart. When the weight is lifted off of you from confessing, your soul is able to rejoice before the Lord. And that's what's commanded in Sukkot, meaning temporary dwelling place, a tent, or what's called a booth. That's what Sukkot is. So I'm looking forward to that time. But right now, it's time to get very serious with the Lord in some serious soul searching. So, I will leave you with that.